I've said it once and I'll say it again. Life has a funny way of humbling you because, as I had intricately planned for this episode to go out first and whatever I recorded last time to go out second, as you may have noticed, that one actually came before the recap podcast. And that is because I recorded that on the Saturday and then on Sunday, I got incredibly sick. Well, when I woke up, I had an inkling that I was sick. And as the day progressed, I was definitely, it was confirmed that yes, you were indeed sick because I had met up with a friend to go picnic at the Han River to, just catch up about like life and what's going on in mine and her life, in her circles. Then like halfway through, about like right after lunch that we shared together, at that moment I knew I was sick because I was getting so drowsy. And I had attributed that to an allergy pill that I took at the beginning of the day because I thought, you know what? I'm feeling a little sniffly. Maybe something's in the air. Maybe something's in the air. So I took an allergy pill and I thought, this is the medicine kicking in. So I'm so sorry. I really couldn't even focus. So I decided to head home at around like 4 p.m. that day. When I got home, for the first time in a long while, I finally decided to listen to my body and I slept. And boy, I slept from like 5 or 7. No, I think it was like 4 or 5, all the way till 10 p.m. I woke up and I felt sick. But so I took a medicine, I took a Tylenol cold, and I slept again. And then the next day I felt better. But don't laugh too soon because after Tuesday of this week, I'm about to be like a train wreck. But we're not gonna get there just yet. There's still a lot to unpack. Matter of fact, maybe like 4 months, 5 months. Hang on. November, December, January, February, March. And we're nearing freaking April. So realistically, 5 months of me going radio silent. I'm going to tell you all about what has been changed in my life, what I did in those 4 months, a trip to Hong Kong, my new job, catching up with friends, audition offers for audiobooks, and a mental breakdown this week. So I don't know, grab your liquid IV because I've been hooked ever since my friend got me one. Grab your friggin' liquid IV, grab your water, however you like to hydrate yourself, and buckle up. It's been a while, give or take half of a year since we last spoken to each other. Well, just me, not you. You've been listening attentively, and I appreciate that. But yeah, let's go. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I left you hanging last November, like right as I was about to finish my last contract with my previous company. Then I decided to like dip and go on a trip. Did I tell you about the trip that I was planning? Did I tell you about wanting to go to Hong Kong for the longest time and finally manifesting because the visa applications that I was originally applying for kind of sort of fell through, or I realized that it wasn't feasible or really useful for me since I'm not really going anywhere. But yeah, I decided to, right after I finish my last contract and right before I started working for this new company that I'm currently working at, I was like, there's a week in between. I really, 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 really want to travel internationally. It was one of the bucket lists I actually had on my wall. I think it was one of the last ones that I was thinking about, will I be able to check off or not? But at the last minute, I got my severance, which, oh my gosh, such a pain to receive my severance. You would think that they would just give me my severance in the regular bank account that, they wire my salary to every single month. But it wasn't so. I had to create like a special severance account for them to deposit the money, and then I have to withdraw it from that account and then close that account in order to complete the whole process. And that in it all in it on wow. Can you tell I haven't spoken in a long time? In and of itself was such a tedious process because, I truly, genuinely was doing my best to try to make the process as painless as possible. I have everything I wanted to do written down in a note, and I was just going to pass it to the bank teller and have her, help me with the process. But still, my Korean's very limited, and I'm aware of that, which is why I try to write down everything in the note so I can just give it to her and make this more streamlined. However, I believe she was kind of new because she was constantly asking, I don't know if it's like her superior or team leader or shift leader or whatever, like every 2 seconds. And then she started getting increasingly more frustrated or a little bit, and I was just holding my breath, trying to get my money, to be honest, trying to get my money. I think I try to get Taro on the phone to help me with translation and just saying what I need help with. And yeah, it took such a long time, but finally, lo and behold, I got my money. I booked my ticket to Hong Kong. And then I had to ask Taro, I was like, do you want to come with, like, to Hong Kong? I think it would be fun. And he was like, okay, let me see, can I get PTO on that day? And he could. So it turned into kind of like a unintentional couples trip. So we were there for about 4 days. Well, I decided to stay for 4 days. Originally, I thought 3 days, but then I'm like, Hong Kong's pretty expensive. If I have an opportunity to go, might as well stay as long as possible. I couldn't stay longer because one, Uni was home, right? Secondly, I needed enough time to decompress before I started my new job. I don't remember the dates anymore, but I had left to Hong Kong the last week of November. And then my first day at my new job was December 4th. So to be honest, it's kind of tight. So we went, and my whole purpose of going to Hong Kong was just to, kind of get a sense of motherland because it's been a while. I don't remember when was the last time I went back to China, or I do remember I went to Hong Kong for the first time 6 years ago, but that was with my mom and her friend. So that wasn't really like a trip that I was fully involved in. I literally showed up with my passport, ate, sightsee, and then went back to university because that's when I was still a student, and I remember it was a fun summer break because it was during final season, and then my best friend and we were both studying at my apartment. She had gotten this table, like a foldable table from tabling for her sorority, and we just kind of unfolded it and then put it in my living room, and we were just cramming for our finals there. And we were kind of sort of taking a study break. I think she went into there were some shadows in I still remember this. There were some shadows in my room because I have the direction that my window was situated. Is that the right word? Might not be the right word. But the neighboring complex or whatever, the street light had casted a very interesting like pattern on my wall. So she was in my bedroom taking pictures of the freaking blinds. If you're listening to this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. While I was waiting outside, I had just randomly, food for thought, like why not? Just for fun. I went on Google Flights and I was looking. I'm like, I want a break. I'm just curious. How much is it to fly back to China? Well, as expected, it's in the thousands. I'm like, well, can't do that. Then I was looking at Hong Kong. I was like, well, I think Hong Kong's a little bit closer, right? So I typed in Hong Kong. I kid you not, it was like $700 something. And just, for giggles, I sent a text to my mom and I'm like, hey, just randomly looking at tickets. Seems like Hong Kong is only $700. Are you like interested? Do you want to like make a trip? Surprisingly, she said yes. She's like, wow, that's a really good price. Let's do it. So me, her, and her friend, we went to Hong Kong together for the first time. And I've always wanted to go back, especially now that I'm literally in Asia and I'm so close to so many of these countries that I want to visit. For example, Japan. I mean, I've been to Japan before, but I still want to go again, maybe to like another city. So Japan, I want to visit motherland, obviously. I've never been to Vietnam, I've never been to Thailand or Philippines. I'm waiting for my best friend to go to Philippines together. But apparently she's gonna go with her mother. How dare you? In October or November. So I think I have to wait for another day, but we're supposed to have a bestie vacation together sometime before or after her OAT next round, OAT or going right before going to optometry school. But that's that. And this time I thought, it'll be a good opportunity for me to show Taro what like a version of my hometown is like, because my hometown is Guangzhou, and Hong Kong and Guangzhou, we're part of like that Cantonese culture, and that's the type of food that I grew up with. So I wanted to see, I've always had this thought to show him my hometown, the place that raised you. I think it's a very intimate thing to let this other person that you're very, very, very intimate with, the most intimate part of your life, like essentially that is the place that birthed you. And I've went back to his hometown already, so I thought it's only right that I show him mine. So my sole purpose there is to eat, not to sightsee. I didn't really want to do any sightseeing at all, but just to eat. However, if you think about it, it's kind of poorly planned, because no matter how you slice it, there's only so much I could eat in a day. But if you could see my Google map and you zoom in, well, right before you can actually see like the different sections of Hong Kong, you just see a bunch of bubbles with tags. It's like food, 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 drinks, milk tea, food, 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 hotel, Rainbow Estate. You know that, have you ever seen the picture of that famous Hong Kong apartment where it's like rainbow colored? That was the only place that I wanted to go sightsee. And I'm actually really happy that I did, because I didn't know they were going to take that place down. So at the time when I went there, it was actually the farthest place in my to visit list. So I think it was the day before my last day, my day 3. I had I wonder if you could still see in my Google map what I did each day. Let's go back to November. Of course, she didn't write anything. Didn't I write it in my... I think I might have written it in my notebook that I took with me, that I literally was journaling every single day. Let's see. Hang on. Oh, you know what? I'm about to read you my diary. This feels wrong. I literally wrote the script of my latest video in the hotel in Hong Kong, because one day, I think it was day 2. Day 2, I woke up really, really early, and I was just looking outside the window. And Hong Kong is a place that is quite expensive, especially in terms of real estate, because there's just not enough room. And you just see all these like skyscrapers and apartments tightly packed together. And I'm just like looking outside, looking out my window. And I just started writing on my sticky notes. And what did I do? And then that's how I got it was such a surreal moment, because words were just starting to flow. And then I think within like 2-3 hours, before Taro woke up, I had finished my script and I was like, cool. What is this? Get ready for Hong Kong. Write down ideas daily to make sure you note the locations too. Well, you were ambitious for sure. For sure. And Hong Kong was, I had see, another reason why I really, really wanted to take Taro there was because Taro had asked me out right before that trip, and I had told him that, you know, I'll think about it and I'll let you know after I come back. And then now I'm taking him to Hong Kong, so it had felt like a full circle moment, because this is literally what I wrote on November 16th. I said, last time I went to Hong Kong the month you asked me out, and I said I was going to think about it and tell you when I come back. Wow, full circle. Now I'm bringing you back to Hong Kong. You are my answer. Yeah, funny how I went to Hong Kong first time with the question, and now I'm bringing my answer back to her. Okay, Julie, you were in your field. And here we go. Oh, I left on the 28th then. And just like that, I'm at the airport, 35 minutes from flying out to Hong Kong. The first few days since I concluded my time at insert company name. 3 years felt quicker than 3 hour. 3 years felt quicker than a 3-hour lesson. It didn't sting quite like the first time. Switched? What does that mean, Julie? I guess the difference was because I had no one left with deep connections to. In the process of becoming a veteran, I also became an island. Ooh. Here and back home. Here and back home. Hang on, what? In the process of becoming a veteran, I also became an island, here and back home. Ever since... But the saddest part of me registered no for this. I remember the... Whoa, Julie. Oh, she was getting a little emo here, but a little bit too personal, so I'm not gonna read it. Whatever limbo this is, I hope to see a breakthrough one way or another. I have no idea how high up beyond the clouds we're at right now. There's about 1 hour and 45 minutes left in this flight. I'm excited for Hong Kong. In a sense, it's like submitting an answer sheet to the question I was stuck on when I first visited. Now the answer is sitting by my left seat. Thankfully, my illness, after a few days of inhaling soupy food, had paid off. Oh, I was sick right before too. It was like when I left the company, everything just piled on my shoulder. Here's to whatever pay I will bring. Hopefully lots of milk tea and dim sum, or just that classic diner. Wow, I was falling asleep. These are not words. Just that classic blink, 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 blink. Those are not letters. Those are like the symbols like the Mayans used, or the Aztecs used on the wall. Yeah, it's not. Okay, Wednesday, 9:30. Originally planned for 8 a.m. 9:30 dim sum at One Dim Sum. I love that place. And then going to Gamwa Cafe for pineapple bun and egg tarts. That place had the best milk tea I've had throughout my whole time there, surprisingly. And then we take the tram or the double-decker. Noonish, we were supposed to go to Gaga Dessert. Dessert? Did we go there? I don't think so. We're supposed to visit the Star Ferry and then the observation. Yep, we went on the Ferris wheel. For dinner, we were supposed to go to Yetlok or some clay pot restaurant. We didn't end up going there. Yeah, we ended up going somewhere else, just some random place, it was okay. And then for snack, we're supposed to have 雞蛋仔, but we didn't. Why didn't I write down my itinerary? I swear I've written it down somewhere because there's no way that I could operate like that. I can see how stressful my thing is, because on Monday it says visit bank for new card. Oh, I had lost my card. That was a week. Go to Daiso, go to Olive Young, pack your bags. Flight was at 9 a.m. Check in. Nothing, absolutely nothing here. Make an account, email company, because I was having some problem with the severance account. Souvenirs, flight back from Seoul, offload clips, edit Hong Kong postcards, look at the crap that is IRB. Oh my goodness. Ooh, and then oh my gosh. Wow, look at my training schedule. There's some wild stuff. Yeah, no way. I know I've written it down somewhere. Let me keep reading. The first night when we went there on Tuesday night, after I showered, literally I got out of the shower, and then Taro was like, do you want to get a snack? I was like, I just got out of the shower though. But I'm glad we did, because we ended up going down the hotel, and then we found this like 7-Eleven or something like that, or Family Mart, I don't remember. And then we got snacks, and then we just ate chips on the side of the streets, listening to like trams crossing by in the middle of the night, like midnight, and then buses and cars. It was like a very odd, peaceful feeling. And I also got like this, it's like every single day I have a box of Vita Soy, which is like the soy milk brand that they have. I also have a drinks count: milk tea, Vita Soy, Vita lemon tea. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Let's see. This is my script. I'm gonna skip this. Please tell me you wrote down somewhere. Not really. But not really, but this is what I wrote while I was at the Rainbow Estate Park. It is November 30th. It is almost 8:45 a.m. in the morning. Oh yeah, I have to get up really, really early because I wanted to catch like the sunrise or something. Or basically I just wanted to stretch my last day, because we were there for 4 days. Taro was there for 3 days. And then I was going to spend a whole day alone on my own. And at first I was a little bit scared because I never really truly traveled anywhere solo. But, you know, if you think about it, Julie, you speak the language. You've been there for like 2 days, 3 days now. Like, you should be able to be okay. So that was the impression that that was how I was trying to brainwash myself into being confident. So I went there, and then I set up my tripod, my mini tripod, and I was filming there and then writing this exact entry. It is almost 8:45 a.m. in the morning. I'm sat at the famous Choi Hong Estate Park. It's already quite lively. Lots of elderly playing sports, strolling, playing music, and doing sword dance. I'm probably the only youngings here. Yes. Sticking out like a sore throat. Sore throat, Julie, sore thumb. But I'm all alone today, and I should get used to the feeling, right? I just sent Taro away around 6 a.m. today and got ready since. We sped through Central to Prince Edward all in one day. Even trying foot massaging. Oh my gosh. Which I was vehemently against and will never do again. We dined out at Tempest Street. Oh, we did. It was like at a not really like a night market, but we ate outside, like next to the street, with this like the best crab, like chili crab or whatever that I've ever had in my life. That was one of his bucket list. So I'm glad that we were able to check that off before he had to leave. Here we go. In wait, hold on. Dai Pai Dong. I don't remember how to say that anymore. Yeah. With the best spicy crab I've ever had. After getting through the realization of our first day here, I've started to pay more attention to my greed of wanting to capture many things and just enjoy the moments as they are. Now it's 9 a.m. and the tourists are showing up. So is the sun. Maybe that's my cue to leave. Yeah, so I went there really early because I wanted to film and I didn't want it to get too crowded, but because then I feel like I won't be able to capture the scenery as it is, and then tourists are gonna show up because it's a famous location in Hong Kong. That's it. You didn't write anything else, huh? I know I wrote it somewhere. I just can't believe I didn't write it down here. But from what I remember, one of the craziest thing that I did in Hong Kong was that, on the day, so I guess right after me visiting the Hong Kong State Park, I walked from the top part of Hong Kong all the way to the bottom. And then I took the Star Ferry back to my hotel, which is on the other side of the island. I think I was in Sheungwan, and then I took a tram as well, kind of like from the beginning to the end, just to sit down and absorb the sounds and the scenery and just like the busyness of it all. The first 2 days I spent in Hong Kong was not great because I was being very greedy, and that was something that was like a point of contention during the whole trip. And Taro and I kind of had like a moment of realization where a moment of confrontation of, hey, I feel like this trip has just been you stopping at locations and filming for the sake of filming for your projects instead of, having this couples trip, right? Fully being attentive to each other. And that was it was like a hammer in my forehead. I woke up after that day. It was hard for me to process it and let my ego go and to just, apologize and make the most out of whatever is left in our journey. But we did make it work. Like day one was just like that whole stressful of filming. I want this shot. I want this location. I remember one of the most hurtful thing I said was like, I had to ask him to help me with the shot. And then out of spite or something, I don't remember exactly what happened. I said something along the lines of, but like, I didn't even like what you took though. And, as soon as I've said it, you have that moment of realizations like, oh, can we redo that? I should not have said it that way. But I don't know if I said this before, but I'm always, always grateful for Taro being the person who is like logical and ever so forgiving of mistakes like those, or where like when we inevitably hurt each other with things that we say. He's always the bigger person, and I'm trying to be the bigger person. I'm learning how to be the bigger person as well. But he was really logical about it, and he was calm, and it's like, let's think about this. This is not fair to me. This is not fair for us if you continue to act this way. So day 2, we were like, let's only spend the first hour or so filming, and then the rest of it, it's for ourselves. And then we really had a lot of fun. We went to some locations, and then he helped me with filming some parts, and we had the foot massage thing. He was so obsessed with it. He's like, I want to try foot massage. And I just can't. There's always this fear in my heart about going underground in a very dark place to get your foot massaged by other people, which it's already like an intimate thing for me. So the whole time that dude passed out. He literally like snoring on the right, and I'm like eyes open, ears open, fully awake, tuning into my senses for any situations. But you know, turns out it was okay. But I wouldn't try it again, especially not on my own. Maybe with like a group of people, but it was not something that I felt really comfortable with. Had some good food, had some good milk tea, had some good, what is it called in English? It's like a type of cold dessert. You have like tapiocas inside and then maybe like mangoes, depending on what you do. Also, maybe like black sesame and stuff like that. He really liked it. And I was like, yep, this is one of my favorites desserts growing up. Then that night, what did we eat that night? I just remember dim sum. We did have a lot of dim sum. And I asked such a stupid question because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure, okay? Like, at least I'm being honest. I had gone to the, we went to eat dessert, dim sum one day. It was like early in the morning. I think that was the first thing that we did on the second day. When we were checking out, right, at the counter, I had asked him if, can I eat here alone? Like, is it okay if I just come here by myself? The lady was counting my money and she looked at me so confused, but I could tell she was trying her damn best to be nice without making me feel stupid. But I was definitely humiliated. I had asked her,可唔可以一個人嚟呢度食嘢? I asked her, is it okay if I like come by myself? And she was like, of course. But the way she said it, it was kind of like you telling a child's like, well, duh. So after I got out, because Taro was outside since it was really crowded now, and I was the one that, was like paying and stuff. So after I rejoined him outside on the street, and I was like, I felt so stupid. He's like, what happened? I said, tomorrow you're not going to be here anymore, right? But I want to come to this place one more time because dim sum was really bomb. So I had asked her, is it okay if I like eat here alone? And then she said the equivalent of like, 그럼요. Like, yeah, of course. Like, duh. I felt so stupid because she was probably like, what do you mean if you can? Like, yeah, of course you can. So when I came here by myself that day, I thought I would have to like share a table with someone else. But there was actually this designated one-person dim sum seat. I'm just facing a wall. And it's the most hilarious thing ever. But I did enjoy it. I ate everything I wanted to eat. And, after I ate, that's when I walked all the way down Hong Kong. I was hoping that by me walking, I'll be able to digest my food faster. Therefore, I could eat more things. Because remember, my whole goal of going to Hong Kong was just to eat. That didn't really work out. I couldn't eat everything that I wanted to eat. But hey, if you look at it from the flip side, that means I could go back and try it again. So that was my Hong Kong trip. It was short, but it kind of, scratched an itch I had for a long time, especially given that last year when I went back home, I had made a deal with my company. It was that either I take a break for the term, which is going to be 3 months, and then I come back, or I resign now and you give me 1 month off. So of course they wanted me to resign first because, just to secure the teacher and make sure that they don't not come back. And they had asked me, is it okay if you go 3 weeks? And I'm like, Mom, can I go 3 weeks? She's like, hell no. So I was like, all right, no. So let's negotiate for 4. So I was able to go home for about 28 days. And because of that, I had no PTO, right? I've used up all my pay time leave and as well as my unpaid. So it was like being caged, being in solitary confinement for such a long time. And I'm like, I want to go outside. I want to go see the world. I want to go travel. One more travel before the year end. And that's how, Hong Kong came to fruition. Now, after I came back, it was hustling time because I had started at a brand new company that is still an English academy. But this time they were focused on like my target age group. So after 3 years of teaching at a hagwon, you kind of gauge out what is the age group that you enjoy teaching, right? And for me, I was really done dealing with angsty teenagers. I think part of the reason why is because I enjoy younger groups because I have the experience of raising my sister. So that like age 10 to like 12, 11, that's when I was there raising my sister. But anything higher than that, like teenage, like I didn't have any prior experience of how to deal with children in that age range. I did not have a reference, so I struggled a bit with it, and I didn't really enjoy teaching that age group that much. So I had been looking for places that allow me to teach maybe like lower than fourth grade. And then I found this place. And they their range is between grade 1 through 4. So I'm like, perfect, that's the sweet spot. So I interviewed with them, and then I was scheduled to start in early December. So teaching wise, the curriculums are different, but once you know how to teach something, you can always adapt, right? And that's one of the amazing thing about human being is our adaptability. So in the beginning, it was just a lot of like absorbing new informations, new curriculums, how like teachers do things. And luckily, if I had experience teaching this age group before in a different format, thanks to my very, very first company. So the companies that I worked for 3 years, they have like different sections or different brand. Well, I would call it different sections. One is like the kindies, and then you get to like the elementary focused one, and then the third one is like the higher level one, I guess. That one is the elementary to middle school. So with the specifically like only elementary section, you have this like co-teaching system where you have a native teacher and then you have a Korean co-teacher, and you basically do like a switch classroom style. So that is what my current company is doing. So luckily I had that experience of understanding how switch classrooms work and how, important and how to stay communicative, is that a word, with your co-teacher. So that part I understand the concept and have done it before, thankfully. And I was also like a trainer for that program for a few months before I inevitably got too busy and could not do it anymore. But it's like learning the routine of how things are done in the classroom that took up most of my brain power. And then I think I got really lucky in the sense of I joined in December, because with my old company we teach like by term, and every term is 3 months. So essentially, if I were to join a company, it doesn't really matter when I join, as long as I'm within like a 3 months increment, then I could start as a new teacher with the brand new class and not having to worry that I'm just gonna cut in the middle of the school year. However, this new place that I'm working at, they're going by like a full school year. So generally, new teachers will get their classes assigned to them in the beginning of the year. So since I joined in December, I had 3 weeks to train, and then I would get placed, and then I would get my classes in January when school starts. So I didn't have to wait that long, whereas some of the other trainees that I've met while I was preparing for my role, they've been there maybe like a month earlier or 2 months earlier than when I had first joined. So, after learning the ropes of everything, January was the most, well, the first week of January was the most nerve wracking because that's when, everything is put to the test. And luckily, had been smooth sailing ever since. I haven't had any major problems with my classes or with my partner teacher or with the curriculum. So things have been, I've been very, I felt very blessed that there were no big issues. And the most, how should I say this? The best thing that ever happened to me? No. Something that I didn't expect and I have been very grateful for is like the communities that I found at this place. The people that I've interacted with and the trainees that I guess, I almost wanted to say grew up with, but that's not the right term, but I know you understand what I meant. The trainees that, we've been through the thick and thin, they have been such kind, I can't really fully describe my experience with them. I feel like words are too shallow, but let's just say that I've never socialized this much in this over the span of well, at the time it was only a month or two compared to how much I've socialized in the past year or two. It's like in the past year or two, I found one or two people that I really connected with at work, and then we became close friends. But then, they left to go back to the States, and then I was yet again an island, right? So I didn't really bother making close connections with anyone else because I had this fear that we would separate anyways. And I just didn't have anyone who I clicked instantly and felt that connections. But when I started at this new place, I felt so incredibly lucky that the people I've met have all been just so welcoming and so kind, and just there was just a lot of love. And it was almost like I didn't know what to do with it. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do with all this love that I suddenly received? It's from people who were strangers months ago. Not only have I gone to company social events, which I would never really do in the past, and then I've also had my very first adult sleepover with them, and it's just watching myself being human again was such a strange experience. It felt like I was living out of my skin, and if I were to be dramatic, it almost makes me want to cry. It felt like my life was becoming fuller again, and I was connecting with so many people. I was, going out to grab coffee with them, grabbing meals, and making plans on the weekend. It felt fun to live again. And you might think that, yeah, Julie, the opportunity was always there. All you had to do was reach out, and you're right. But I also think that meeting the right people, having this type of community around me, really did all the heavy lifting. It's like everything else just came so naturally. What is that? What is this? Oh, are we going to FaceTime tonight? Hold on. I know you're listening to this, so I'm just gonna. That's right. Marley. Mamas, do you still want to FaceTime after therapy today? Or are you busy? I'm waiting for you to hear this when you're listening to the podcast, as I'm literally texting you. This will be retrospect. But yeah, it felt like I felt so colorful again. It sounds silly, but yeah, I felt it was the similar feeling that I had when I first came to Korea. Because, however tragic my first company was eventually, before its downfall, all of the teachers lived in the same building and we walked to work together, we make plans together, we have fun together. That was the part of Korea, or like one of the golden memories that I had working together, or being in this field. Next weekend should be more busy. Busy, sorry, I have today and tomorrow last move my stuff out. Next weekend should be more free and I can do it earlier. No worries. That's why I asked, boo boo. Hee. Oh, but maybe have to move to next week because I'm going to next Friday to Monday. Evil emoji. Hehe, I'm not telling you where I'm going, but I am going somewhere for my birthday weekend. Alone. I know I'm a little bit scared about that, but I think I'll be okay. It's going to be a very meaningful trip for me. In a sense, it's going to feel like a full circle because I am now at the same age that my mother was when she first had me. So I thought, why don't I do something that makes it feel like a full circle? I think this decision was also made because of the current project that I've been making. Well, one of the goals I had for this year, for 2024, was to live a fuller life. I felt like in the past, I might not have lived, like really truly live to my fullest potential or just wholeheartedly. And this year was a year of a lot of changes, changes to my job, changes to my perspective on, friendships abroad. And I really just want to expand my horizon in a sense. So the video that I'm working on is called How to Live a Fuller Life. And this will be one of the first big action that I take into living in living a fuller life this year and completing that full circle moment. I kept saying full circle moment this, full circle moment that, but this will be one of the actions that'll actually, like fill in that circle. So I'm really, really excited to tell you about it after I come back. Yes, I'm committing myself to come back from that trip next week and then tell you in the following weekend. Because I know I'm just going to be really busy trying to catch up work because I'm taking 2 PTOs off from work, so I won't be at work on Friday or Monday, which I am a little bit nervous about because usually those 2 days are the days that I use to prep the most. But it's okay. There's a will, there's a way, right? As always. What was I saying about... I don't remember what I was talking about. I'm going to assume that I was talking about Hong Kong and new work. I had a new job. So yeah, things been great at the new work. I will have to say that my working hours have significantly increased and I have to leave my apartment earlier comparing to where I used to live. But I do feel more fulfilled here. I get my own classroom and I've always have been, but nowadays I feel even more so connected to my kids. Like I call them my kids, but my students. It's like I've always felt invested in their progress. But these days it's like I feel it even more personally. But because of that, that also brings a lot of pressure as well, especially when I feel like when I can sense that they're not understanding something, then I take it more personally and I take it more harshly and I feel that incompetence and I'm like, It must be something that I'm doing wrong. That I didn't help them make sense of this topic. So I feel that extra burden. And I mean, it was bound to cause some problems. Not with the kids, but with how I perceive myself and how I process my emotions. And actually this week, this Tuesday, it was like brewing for the perfect storm. I never imagined that I will have a mental breakdown ever, or this year, or this month, this early on in the year, but I actually genuinely had a mental breakdown. So this Tuesday, there were a lot of things going on. There were a lot of moving parts. And to begin, I had been sick or feeling sick since Sunday, right? I've been trying to recover since then. Monday comes around, I feel a little bit better. But Tuesday, like I just been doing my best to just come home, sleep, come home, sleep, come home and sleep, because that's the time my body can repair itself. Tuesday, I think my body was almost done repairing itself because I had naturally woken up at 6. It may sound really early to you, but ever since I started working here, to remedy the fact that I have to leave early, I also wake up earlier so I could, have more hours to my day instead of feeling like my days have shrunken. Yeah. So I woke up at 6 and I'm like, good, because I didn't even set up an alarm when I went to sleep last night. So good for me, I guess. I woke up at 6, had some breakfast, got ready, and was getting dressed and preparing for Korean class. Oh yeah, I'm taking Korean class right now, provided by my company for free. Yeah, I could go on and on about why I like this new company, but anyways, that's not the point right now. So the reason why I had to get ready, like fully dressed and ready to be out the door, is because my class goes from 10 to 11:30. But because of my commute, as soon as my class finish, I have to like eat really quickly and be out the door at 12, or else I won't be able to make it to work on time. So I got ready, and there were some things I needed to be taken care of before my class began, but I couldn't do it. So that was already like kind of like sitting in the back of my head, weighing me down a little bit. Then I did the class, focus on the class, not really thinking about anything else. As soon as class finished, I got a message regarding something I had to prepare before my class even began. So I'm like scrambling because I have to cook my lunch, and then I have to eat my lunch, and then I have to be out the door at 12. But then there's this extra things I have to take care of. So I'm trying to multitask at my best, right? Then I scramble, I get to work on time, thankfully. But then on Tuesday, we were starting a brand new reading program. And there were a lot of moving parts involved. And I was trying to think of, the best way to execute the plan within the given time while accounting everything that could go wrong will go wrong. So it was like a very tension-packed day. And something on top of that was, it was a writing lesson day. So writing lesson day, the most important day is brainstorming day, because that sets the foundation for the essay that they have to write, or they will be writing in the following weeks. But because of all the moving parts that were bound to move regarding this new program in class, it had taken up a lot of time, and I just didn't have the normal time that I would have had for a brainstorming lesson to explain everything that needs to be explained. So naturally, some of the kids, or dare I say most of the kids, especially in the lower level, were having trouble processing the brainstorming outline that I had given them. And I could see this frustration, like the frustrations that they had, I'm mirroring that, because I know like this is me. If they're confused, that means I didn't do a good job. So that I was also filing that in the back of my brain. So like something else to keep a note of, right? Then at the end of the day, with like all the lessons completed, I'm grading everything and I'm giving my partner teacher feedback on, how the day went and how I probably have to switch it up in order to make it work better the next week. All of this, I'm like functioning. I'm just like a highly functional robot. I'm in autopilot mode. Like I'm fine at work. Like I do feel tingly, right, from all the adrenaline and everything, but it was like as soon as I stepped out of the building, and I vividly remember this. I put on my headphones and then I started playing music and I was walking towards my subway entrance, and it was as if like a truckload of feelings just overcame me. Like part of it is from the stress of the new reading program. Part of it was from like this sense of incompetency during the lesson. And then another big part of it was like something personal I was dealing with a friend. And it was like dumping a box load of Mentos into a tank of Coca-Cola. And it had just like exploded in me. And I haven't experienced emotions that strong for such a long time. And I think the reason why, don't cry now, Julie, your nose is still stuffed. We work really hard to, make sure that your nasal canal allow the airway to flow through. Don't do this to me. But I think the reason why I had that breakdown was because, so I took that strength finder test, right? Oh, my laptop's about to die. I took that strength finder test, and if you didn't listen to that podcast yet, let me recap for you. Actually, I don't even want to look for the paper. I'm just gonna pull up Gallup. Yep, Gallup.com. I've been reading that report so much. Like I've been trying to make sense of it or understand how to master it for quite a long time now. And I'd say that, to be honest, it did help me understand like what type of person I am or how certain emotions affect me more than others. But my top Clifton Strength report, my top 5 was developer, relator, empathy, positivity, and maximizer. So the part that contributed towards my breakdown were relator, maximizer. Excuse me, why am I burping? I haven't eaten in like hours. Was because, where is it? Where are you? I know you're here. Was because my freaking relator trait. I'll remind you about my relator trait. People exceptionally talented in the relator theme enjoy close relationship with others. They find deep satisfaction in working hard with friends to achieve a goal. So relators, they basically put a lot of value on close connections, close friendships. And I was having trouble with one of my close friendship that had gone against my value. Now, one of my top 10 trait was belief. And basically the belief trait is that when I go against something that is my core value, I have a strong, reaction to it. What is it? Your core values guide you and give you purpose. You provide clarity, conviction, and stability living your values. Here we go. Watch out for blind spots. So these are like, be careful of this because you have this trait. Because you're passionate about your own beliefs, others might view you as stubborn or set in your own way. Keep in mind that everyone has a unique worldview and often it will not be the same as yours. So one of my core value was that to be loyal to your friend no matter what. And I want to be as helpful to my friend no matter what. But it was like the way I I basically had to say no to something that I have been doing for a long, long time. And by doing so, I had violated one of my core beliefs, which is to be loyal. Or in my opinion, I had violated one of my core value, that I should always be loyal to my friend. I should always be a helpful friend. And me saying no in my brain was me not being a good friend anymore, because I'm refusing to help anymore. But the help that I was providing was really, to be very, very honest, it was really, really draining me for a long time. Not just physically, but mostly mentally. It was like I didn't have enough time apart from work to focus on just myself. But then mentally, I I have this in the back of my mind of, I need to do this for my friends. My friend is waiting for me. This needs to be done. This is a job. Like this is something you need to take care of as soon as possible. And I mean, it was not relayed to me as like, this is a job that needs to be done ASAP. No. And I am being compensated for helping my friend, but it was like something that was becoming a physical and mental chore, and I just didn't have enough time to do it. And I knew long ago I should have said no, or I should have spoke up against it instead of saying that no, I mean, it's okay, like I don't mind. But it was you did mind, Julie, but you didn't speak up because you didn't want to be a bad friend. And now that day I had asked if we could take a break, but then that was me on the way home. Like literally, I was on my last bus and I had messaged my friend saying, can we take a break? I think I need a break. I just need rest. I just don't have enough time. And then that was what I thought I could make peace with until I got home. And then it was like, I guess because I entered my safe space or whatever, I just broke down. Like I knew it, I could feel it. It was crawling up from my stomach, like from the pit of my stomach. And I knew something was coming, but I just didn't know what. And it was like as if a floodgate had opened. And I actually had messaged Taro as soon as I got home. I said, I don't feel like I'm in a good mood. I don't think I could talk to you or something like that. But then as I was, taking off my socks and then getting ready to just turn out for the night, I felt this not necessarily panic, but just like this surge of emotions climbing up. And I went to Taro and I walked to his place. We made eye contact and I just started bawling. Like it was not just like crying. Because like I've cried last year. Like, come on, be honest. You cried last year, like watching movies or from maybe like a particularly tough day. Like that's normal. But I was bawling. He just held me, and I just kept crying and crying. It was like I couldn't verbalize exactly what or why or how I was feeling, and all I could do was just wail. And I did for a little bit, Afterwards, I kind of sort of calmed down and explained to him what happened. And he said, not trying to be that person, but, I've told you this before. You, long ago, you should have said no, but you never told that friend no, and you kept going, and this is what happened. And of course, this was not the only straw that broke the camel's back, right? But that's something that you need to be honest. It's not doing yourself any good. Obviously, like, look at you now. Like, it it was the catalyst that kind of sort of put you in this state. And address it. It's not a healthy way to maintain your values this way. So I had messaged a friend back and said, I really don't think I could do this anymore. So, like, instead of a break, I think I just won't be doing this anymore. And I just hope you could understand or respect my decision. The whole reason why I started doing this was not to get some side cash. It was just to be a helpful and useful friend. But if you think about it, everything is clear. Like, hindsight is 2020, right? There was probably a reason why you never announced to all your other friends that, hey, I'm in Korea. This as in, like, referring to myself. Because I knew something like this would have happened, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to say no, because I just don't want to be a friend that, like, disappoints that label of someone who is always helpful. So after I sent that message and I got a reply, after I sent the message, I went to take a shower. I didn't want to look at it. I didn't want to wait for the reply, right? I took a shower, and then I saw her reply. And then I remember going upstairs, going to my bed. And as I was laying down, I just had another breakdown again. I just cried my eye out again. And the next day, lo and behold, I have a workshop to attend. So I had to wake up really early for the workshop. And as you guessed it, if you spend the night before crying, you're going to wake up looking like a goldfish and sounding like Ursula. So I was just doing my best to keep it together. I feel like there weren't enough time in between for me to fully process the emotion and then file them away. So I was just kind of grasping at air, just trying to keep myself composed for this workshop I have to attend. And I also have to teach a class that day as well. But because of the workshop I have to attend, I have less time to prepare for the classes that I have to teach that day. So again, another tension-packed day. I was really hoping, praying that nobody asked me, how are you today? Because as soon as I hear those words, I know I'm going to start crying again, and I would never, ever want to cry at work. Like, that's like my bottom line. I would always give my all at work if I'm passionate about the work. And, I don't want to disappoint, right? This is a toxic trait I need to unpack. I understand, but I'm also acknowledging that right now. So went through the day pretty okay. Like, no one really, really asked me, how are you? But then at the end of the day, it was asked, and I did get to process the emotion one more time. But at the end of day 2, or Wednesday, it was still somewhere lingering in my chest. But when Thursday came around, after I was able to vent it out, I have felt a little bit better. And then by the time Friday came around, it was mostly gone. I mean, if I still think about it now, I could still get a bit teary-eyed, but on Thursday when I saw my students the second time, remember I had been so worried that they left feeling so confused about the brainstorming outline, and that was a huge part of the fuse, right? On Thursday, I had restructured my lesson, and my goal was to go over whatever I assigned them for homework, and then we were writing the majority of whatever that's left in class, so I could help them. I could break it down for them and help them visualize and put their ideas on paper. And during the lessons, they what does that sound? They did, and they did such a good job absorbing everything and just when I saw what they were writing and how it all flowed together, like, legit, I almost cried. I was so happy that I was able to remedy that situation. Like, again, this is my maximizer trait. What's my maximizer trait? Oh my gosh. Is when my like, I'm so tied. Hang on, English. Like when I'm very, very, when my mood or my sense of accomplishment is tied to their performance. It's like I feel personally responsible for their success. So, oh, I think that's not the maximizer trait. That's another trait. Was it development? Yes. Oh, that's my number one trait. No wonder. Developer. Developer is you see the raw potential in people and even small signs of progress as you actively invest in their development. Your encouragement helps others learn, grow, and improve. Now, the blind spots are you may become over-invested in someone's development and feel personally responsible if they're struggling. Except that sometimes the best option is for them to find their own path forward. Yeah, I was fully like neck deep in my kids' ability to understand and absorb the lesson. So much so that it had became a fuse for me. But yeah, that made this a hell of a week. That was such a big time jump. Did I even cover everything? Okay, earlier in March, I had some Mamamoo friends that came and visited me. We basically sped run through Seoul. Like, we went bowling and then arcade, had some bougie but super delicious dried aged hanu, like Korean beef. We watched Sola's musical, and then she had like a mini fan meet outside the performance center afterwards. It lasted like an hour and a half in the cold, but it was kind of like a Korean listening exercise. And then right after, we had dinner with all the mumus that were there, like the foreigner mumus, and it was actually a pretty good time. And then we had to part ways and we had to say goodbye. What's another thing that happened? Oh, another thing that happened is I got an audition offer from ACX. So, which I honestly forgotten that I had an account with them to begin with, because I think I started this in 2021 or 2022. One of my goal was to, kind of like branch out and see what else I could do. And I've always received comments that, hey, you should try, podcasting or audiobook. So I signed up for ACX, which is kind of like a platform where people find books to narrate or audition for. I tried, I really did in the beginning, but they kept getting rejected. And then I got busy with work, with life, so I've forgotten about it. But then I got an email like weeks ago saying, hey, found you, think your voice would be a good match for this mystery novel. Like, give it a try. So I recorded like a 15 minutes ish, like just the first chapter of the novel. And I remember the day when I first got it, I had debated. I was like, should I entertain this idea? Should I give it a try? I don't think, it's gonna work out, but sure, why not? So that day when I got home from work, I sat and I read it and I reread it a few times and I recorded and I hit send. It took longer than I thought it would. I mean, the recording itself was probably less than 15 minutes, but it's like getting that flow, getting that rhythm, and reading it in different tone of voice takes a bit of time. But then I got a reply saying, you have a lovely voice, but I think this tone is not going to work for who the character is going to develop to be. So thank you for your time, and sorry for letting you down. And I was like, hey, it's my pleasure. I hope you find the person who could voice your novel, because at the end of the day, I'm just surprised that I've received an offer because I haven't been actively maintaining it. So for you to find me, for you to think that I had a chance, I appreciate that. It made me feel happy. It really did. That was another thing, I guess, that happened in 2024 that I didn't expect at all. But as you can hear, I'm still a little nasally. I'm thinking, I really thought I had recovered from the sickness because according to my mucus discharge, it was like yellowish on Sunday, Monday, and then Tuesday it was just transparent. So I'm like, what's going on? Is it the mental breakdown, or is this like from the microdust? Because microdust has been crazy lately. Our air is so unhealthy. I was going to go biking today after I came back, hanging out with Taro. But then I looked at the chart. I was like, nah, I'm just gonna stay home. It looks grim outside. So hopefully this could fully recover by the time I leave next Friday for my new trip. Not gonna tell you where. I will tell you later. Yeah, I still have to pack for that because I don't think I'll have enough time to pack during the week. We have a company dinner next Wednesday, then classes as usual. So I really should start planning and stuff. But yeah, that's technically basically everything you've missed since I started ghosting you 5 months ago, right? So my trip to Hong Kong, my new job. Oh my gosh, there's one more thing I want to tell you about is this series on Netflix that I was super duper hooked on. So much so I finished it in like 2 days. I started like the night and then I finished it. I finished it on Friday. Friday was last week before I had my little my little Mentos Cola moment. It is called Three Body Problem. It is an adaptation of this Chinese sci-fi, the Chinese sci-fi that's like just breaking all kinds of records and boundaries and expectations in China right now. And I remember seeing the trailer on Instagram and I had mentally made a note of it just by chance. Like March 21st, I opened up Netflix. Like I have an account, but I rarely use it. It's like I'm donating to Netflix at this point. It was the first day of release and I watched the first episode, was not able to stop. And I was like, okay, Julie, calm down. You need to sleep because you need to work and you can just finish up the rest as you like wind down from the day on Friday night. So basically the three body problem is a classic physics, I believe, physics problem where, when you have two celestial bodies, you can kind of sort of predict the behaviors of some things. However, when you have three bodies involved, like the gravitational pulls are all going to be mixed up, and it's going to be a lot of chaos. Now, in the story, strange things have been happening all around the world. Like top scientists have been unaliving themselves, and then I forgot what kind of like the accelerators were receiving readings that were incomprehensible, and then all these things are starting to happen, and people are trying to make sense of what's going on, and the timeline kind of skips back and forth between when the Chinese Revolution happened, because one of our main character, that's her background story. Yeah, like it bounces between like the Chinese Revolutionary Culture Revolution, like that event. Something happened that was born out of that event that triggered whatever was happening in the present. And there were various signs that were showing in people's retinas and then in the sky that were like just beyond human civilizations. And then they find out that there's this giant crisis that they have to solve. And the hints are in this futuristic looking VR headset that's connected to nothing but could magically just manipulate your senses and transport you to this virtual world where you have to pass different levels by solving different questions using their like scientific knowledge. It's just so like it's not it really isn't like the one that it really isn't like what the Chinese version, because apparently there was a Chinese version of the Three Body Problem too. I didn't know. I tried to watch it afterwards, but then I fell asleep because I just spent the whole night binging this series. But yeah, I highly recommend. It's only 8 episodes, low commitment, high reward. Okay, low commitment, high reward. I'll put my life on it. But yeah, that's been my chaotic few months. Still trying to wrap up my current YouTube project. I really have to. I have a deadline. I've set a deadline for myself. I have to finish it and upload it before April 18th. And I'm gonna lose next weekend because I'm gonna be traveling. So better get on with it. In the meantime, I hope you all have been taking good care of yourself, both mentally and physically. Something that I always say, but I always do mean as well. And I feel like when we prioritize one thing or another, we kind of put ourselves second because we think whatever we're working on is more important than ourselves. But, that's not the case. So I hope you are taking the time that you needed to decompress and to enjoy your own life as well, because there's no guarantee what will happen next week, next month, next year, dare I say. So say what your heart wants you to say, and express love to those who you love. Don't feel like you should reserve it because you never know. Maybe you'll never get to say it before you were ready or before something happens. Do the things that you love. Do the things that you feel is right for yourself. Listen to your body. Eat healthy food. Exercise frequently. I sound like mom. I sound like I'm aging. And, hey, I am. But I'm finally realizing and understanding the importance of all of those things. So I'm telling it to you because I care about you, even though I don't know most of you. But still, I wish you all these good things in life. And hopefully, by the time next week comes around, I'll be able to share even more good news, and you'll have more good things come to you in the following days as well. So, oh my gosh, it is almost 2. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening to the supposedly episode 79th of Lactose Intolerant. I appreciate you always for listening to me rambling in your ears about my life, about my problem. I would love to hear about your problems as well. So if you ever want someone to rent, or if you ever want a place to deposit your feelings, your secrets, feel free to leave it in the questions. I should just open up the questions so you can park your thoughts somewhere as well. I wish you will have a beautiful week ahead. Take care of selves. Until next time. Let's just live the best week that we possibly can until then. Okay? All right. See you next time.